So, ladies, what noise in your life once looked like success but was actually chaos? And how did you choose peace instead?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm getting ready to be very vulnerable in this moment and say that the dream that society fed me around marriage and career and children, I thought it was gonna feel like success, but it felt like chaos because I don't feel like I was appropriately equipped with the tools to manage everything.
Yeah.
So being a wife comes with responsibility. Being a mom comes with responsibility. Running a career and taking care of yourself, but nobody told me about the taking care of yourself part.
Yeah.
So it felt very chaotic when I burned out in 2017. So,
Okay.
was there a second part to that question? I'm sorry.
No. How did you choose peace instead?
Well, I was gonna say I dropped everything, but I couldn't drop my husband and my kids. But I think I stopped chasing and hustling. I stepped out of the hustle culture, and I learned that I needed to prioritize myself, and I needed to take care of myself to pour and show up intentionally in those relationships that mattered to me and in everything that mattered to me, which is what led me to the pivot into therapy.
Thank you. Could you repeat the question for me?
Of course. So, what noise in your life once looked like success but was actually chaos? And how did you choose peace instead?
Okay, so I'm from a small town, Orangeburg, South Carolina, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, big city of Atlanta, Georgia. So going from a small town to a big city really did do me some good. I got involved in the hustle and the bustle. My business was thriving. Personal life was thriving. I was what you call booked and busy. That's like a staple in Atlanta, being booked and busy everywhere. Everywhere you would invite me, I'm showing up because I just thought that was what I was supposed to do. And even though I'm a therapist, at this time I was not. I was just trying to figure out who I was. So at this time I attempted suicide. So when we talk about vulnerability and transparency, I have a story and a testimony to tell. So my hustle and bustle, or my peace, came forcefully. And sometimes that happens to us when we are booked and busy, or when we are, just everywhere doing everything and not identifying that we're really trying to escape from life. And that's what I was doing. I felt like I had to lead with my accolades. I had to lead with, I'm not just Sierra, I'm Sierra the therapist. I'm not Sierra, I'm the Sierra with a master's degree. I'm not Sierra, I'm Sierra the business owner. I'm Sierra the boss. That's the big thing. Oh my goodness. So when I stopped leading with accolades and I stopped essentially looking for validation in all the wrong places by being booked and busy, I found my peace. And what's the second part?
And how did you choose peace instead?
I chose me. I chose me authentically. I don't care what nobody have to say. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I believe finding a good therapist is like finding a man. I could be a great man, great woman, but not your woman. And that's how I show up in spaces authentically. Nothing you can say is going to shake my peace or make me question who I am. So that's how I found my peace. I found me.
Come on.
And became comfortable with it.
I'm her.
See, I was like, these two right here, they're going to break it down. Okay. So how do you protect peace when career, family, and friendship constantly pulls at you?
So I think at this point, we've heard the word boundaries so much, but I think it's been repetitive because it's real. You do have to create those boundaries, and I think that we're not having the conversations, or the conversations aren't had in social media spaces, and sometimes in spaces like this, about the consequences of those boundaries. People will be confronted by your boundaries, and they will disrespect your boundaries, and that's why it is important to get to a point that you establish and enforce boundaries with being comfortable with yourself, because if those people have to exit your life, their season is done, you're comfortable, you don't negatively internalize that. So I enforce boundaries, and that is what brings the peace and the comfort in my life, even with my children and my husband. My phone is on do not disturb while I'm working or walking or exercising, because that's my time, and it's not for you, honey. It's for me.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that is difficult for them. I think that is the hardest part of boundaries, is how people react and respond to your boundaries. But the people who really love you and are for you, they will learn to appreciate you loving yourself, because you'll show up differently loving them.
Yeah. That's good.
So I'm going to piggyback on that essentially, because one of the critical boundaries I implement is saying no, but I'm a firm believer in stating what the boundary is. We talk about boundaries so much, but a lot of people don't know what it is. And in order for a boundary to be effective, it has to be stated and identified. So if I put a red piece of tape from here to here, most people know that that means stop. But that's not a clear boundary, because to somebody else, it could really mean go. So when I implement a boundary, I make sure you know the consequence. I make sure you know the why. I make sure also I trust myself enough to enforce the boundary no matter how hard it's going to be, because a lot of times our peace is compromised because we don't trust ourselves. So why are we not showing up to the gym is because we don't trust ourselves to change. We don't trust ourselves. We hypocrites to ourselves, which is why we alter our peace. All right, our mindset has a lot to do with the implementation of boundaries as well. You go from wanting to be a morning person to all of a sudden, you know what, I'm not a morning person. So every time you state something, it's what you become. So when I talk about boundaries, it's so serious to me, because I make sure I articulate what it is, and you know what's gonna happen when you cross this line. So everybody's clear, and that's what's been working for me.
I'm sorry, I wanted to piggyback.
No, you're good. Please.
Peace also is internal. And I think individuals struggle with peace, softness, femininity, because they think it's something that's external, and they look for that external validation. When I decided that I wanted peace, I had to identify what that was for me, and that is what made the boundaries clear. It also made it easy to communicate why those boundaries were put in place, because it was something that was so true. It was so internal, and it was as true to me as the sky was blue, that this is what peace is, this is what softness is, this is what comfort is, this is what femininity is. And that doesn't mean that it's a law. It doesn't have to be a law. I can always change based on my influence, what softness is, what peace is, but it's still true to me. It's something that I have embodied. I'm not looking for it externally. And I think when you're looking for it externally, that's where the compromise and the external validation and things come from.
And I keep
She's like, I don't even need the mic.
I keep my eyes on my own lane. A lot of times we get so altered about what the other person has going on or how they show up and present in the world. They always tell a track star, and clearly I don't run track, okay? But they always tell a track star not to look in the other lane, because you're gonna fall, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna get left behind, or whatever the case may be. Where you look is where you run. Great.
Where you run,
you keep your eye there, and that's important, because comparison is the thief of joy. How people show up in these social media spaces or even in real life is not what you see. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and how she got that blessing. You don't know what she had to do to get it. You don't know what she lost. You don't know what she got to do to keep it, right? And you don't even know if that's a blessing for her. It could just be something. Sometimes God will give you something just to show you that it ain't meant for you.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mind my business. I drink my water and mind my business, and that's how I keep my peace. I stay focused on what's for me, my purpose.
Ooh, y'all were going in. I was listening. I was like, what's the next question?
People that should have stayed.
They should have stayed, because they're going to see this video later and be like, dang, I might have should have stayed for that. Alrighty. So what's one boundary that changed your life when you finally said it?
No.
Girl.
No.
Say it again?
No. Period.
Come on.
Not no, cause no, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
I mean, for the people, again, that really matter to me, I do invest in them by explaining my boundary. But for some people, it's just no. And it's not my responsibility for you to understand why I'm saying no. It's your responsibility to ask me why I'm saying no. But I'm not entitled to answer either. So if I say no, that's just it. I don't owe you any explanation. And that has brought the biggest peace, but sometimes it comes with the most misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And again, because I'm at that place where I am comfortable with myself, that's not my problem either. It's up to you to clear up your understanding. It's not my responsibility.
That's good. Essentially, my authenticity is a boundary that I implement. It's a boundary in a sense, but I definitely put a period where most people put commas. So showing up authentically for me has allowed me to implement boundaries and not compromising who I am. Yeah. I'm not gonna change how I talk. I'm not going to change how I look. I'm not gonna shrink myself down, because oftentimes we're carrying things that people deposited in us and we don't even realize it. A lot of us walk around here thinking that we have high self-esteem, but really that friendship trauma that you held on to from high school is causing you to walk around with your head held low. Or really that friendship trauma that you held from high school is causing you to make toxic, platonic, and romantic relationships, because you would rather hold on to something that feels familiar than to really sit by yourself. So my authenticity has allowed me to navigate rooms unapologetically. Again, my essence, me showing up. If you like it, I like you. If you don't, I still love you. But I'm not going to compromise who I am. So I put periods where a lot of people put commas, and that's just it.
See, every time Sierra or Sheree talks, I'm like, yes. All right, ladies. So what practice or ritual keeps you grounded in seasons of anxiety or transition?
I would say for me, it's a self-care routine. I have a slow morning, and my whole morning actually is full of self-care. It's slow. I take my son to school because that's what I enjoy doing. I make breakfast. We have breakfast together. And then I work out for about 3 hours. And then I come home, and I still have an hour to 2 hours before I transition into seeing clients. And I also have an evening routine where it's uninterruptible. And that's something I started with my children. We had quiet time at 8 o'clock. That is the time that you get to do whatever you want to do that does not put us in danger. And it's mommy's time to do whatever she wants to do with daddy or by herself that doesn't put y'all in danger. And it's good because I have 5 children and 4 of them are adults now, and they still implement quiet time. And it is I will call my daughter at 9:15, and she's like, "Mom, it's quiet time for me. It's quiet time. Why aren't you doing yours?" And I'm like, "Okay, I got you." Yeah. But that is one of the things, the quiet time, the boundaries, the taking care of yourself. And it goes back on the question that they asked, like, how do you change generational curses? Now, my mom was a very soft mom, but her mom wasn't. And that is something I didn't want to pick that up. I didn't want to pass that down to them, especially my children, the girls, because they're older. Yeah. And there's a whole oldest daughter thing that comes along with South Black women thing, and I didn't want them to see that. So that's the main thing for me.
Okay.
I would say for me, I think one of the commonalities between multimillionaires and just people of abundance and wealth, and just people who live a luxurious life, which we identified earlier, is that their whole life is a routine. Yeah. Their whole life is a routine. So that's one thing. And I definitely make it a practice of letting people know when I don't have the capacity to do something. So before people call me, they like, "Hey, look, you got capacity to handle this?" Right. And that's me implementing boundaries and training. I don't want to say training people, but really kind of training people on how to treat me, because it's like, as a therapist, you don't realize we're getting dumped on all day. Yeah. So I want to show up as the best version of myself, but you have to allow me to decompress. So when you're talking about that man I used to be the ride or die friend. I'm still her, but give me a minute to get there. Let me decompress, and then when I have the capacity to hear how she did you. Oh my goodness, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to ride, She will. But I will. I set that tone and let people know I don't have the capacity, and I also let people know that's not my scope of practice to give advice. Because sometimes when we don't have the words to say, it just does sound good to act like we know. Yeah. And I'm so not beneath telling people I don't know. So, yeah.
Period. Yes, here we go. So, teaching moment time, okay? So, if a woman in this room is drowning in chaos, what's the very first step she can take today to claim her peace back? Ciao.
I would have to say you have to decide that you want the peace first. I could tell you a whole bunch of different things. Go to church, read a book, journal, go to yoga, go to therapy. But if you haven't decided that that's what you want, none of those things are going to work for you. So the biggest part of that is the decision that I want peace in my life. I want softness in my life. I want luxury in my life. And owning, well, first identifying what that looks like and owning that. Again, we don't get what we ask for, or we don't attract what we want, we attract what we believe. And so when you believe you are a woman of peace, when you believe you are a woman of softness, you attract those people who reflect that, who hold that mirror up to you and say, yes, you are soft, or yes, you are at peace. And you identify those boundaries, and it's easy for you to, again, enforce them, establish them, communicate them, and go on about your life. But that's the biggest thing. You have to decide that that's what you want. And if you don't, you won't get it. You know, it doesn't matter what the social media therapists tell you or the books tell you. Until you decide that that's what you want, that's when you'll get it.
I think you have to reset your mind and know that there's no cookie cutter way to heal, okay? A lot of times social media and people will have you thinking that this is just a feel-good movement, right? You just gonna always feel like butterflies, and it's just gonna be great all the time. And the truth is, when you get to know yourself, that means you have to know and unlearn behaviors and get to know the ugly side of you. It's parts of me where I'm like, oh girl, that's ugly.
Ooh, girl,
like,
I looked in the mirror today and said that.
And a lot of times people don't take advantage of healing because they would rather lie to themselves than tell the truth about what they see and who they are. And so you gotta know that it's not an easy road ahead of you when you gotta check your own self. Because I mean, a lot of people talk about accountability partners, but you don't know that, like, you are your first accountability partner. So anything you're not achieving, you gotta hold yourself accountable first. You want to go to the gym, you ain't go. Okay, that's you. I mean, okay.
She ain't lying. Okay. Do we have any questions for the ladies? I know y'all have burning questions. It's burning up. Yes.
So, you mentioned your quiet time, your peace time, and I'm gonna write that down in the book. And that's just how did you even start that? What age did you start that? Because my daughter does not know mommy time. She knows hugs, me, want to play doctor, all this other stuff. So, how do you involve that?
So at the time that I did that, I had all my children by that time. So I had she might have been 14, 9, 7, and I'll have 5 children, but one is a bonus child, and my son was 2. And all I wanted to do was watch Scandal. All I wanted to do was watch Scandal in peace. And so I said, you know what? Y'all get to do whatever y'all want to do. Y'all get to go in y'all room. I don't care if you draw on the walls.
Ooh, girl.
You get to do what? Because we own our house.
Period. Yeah, no.
You get to go do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's all about you. What do you want to do? And I made it sound like it was the greatest thing. And what do you want to do? Y'all want to draw? You want to dress up? You want to play on the computer? What do you want to do? And they would name all of these things. And anytime they would try to bring themselves back into I would say, well, what did you do? Blah, blah, blah. Did you build the Lego? And, you know, it's all of those things. And it didn't take long.
Yeah.
It didn't take long for them to figure out that it was their time. I think how I presented it is what made them buy into it. This is your time to do it. Pretend. You could be, I don't care who, Mickey Mouse, I don't care. I just want to watch Scandal. So, and out of that, other boundaries came. Another one was they couldn't talk in my car during my morning commute. And when I would tell people that, they'd be like, you don't let your kids talk. No, I do not. We have breakfast time and they can talk all they want to, but you get in my car, you better be quiet. Don't talk on my commute. And that worked. No problem.
So do you think the boundaries that you set as, them being children help them mentally and emotionally as an adult?
I do believe that. it taught them to understand that other individuals will have boundaries, and it helped them to communicate and advocate for themselves, because I won't always be here to put out those fires for you. And so that's what I wanted to instill in them.
I'm also so grateful that you said self-accountability, because one of the things that I teach my clients is called shadow integration. The parts of ourselves that we hate the most, that we hide on social media, that we pretend that we're not, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the comparisons, the jealousy, the envy, and allow them to not shame themselves because they experience jealousy, envy, or shame, and allow it to be integrated back into the soul, so they don't judge themselves, so they're not judging others and projecting their unhealed self onto other people. So when I said we don't have to have grace earlier, I'm so glad you clarified that for me. If we're not ready, we don't have to. If we're not ready to forgive, we don't have to. We can have that compassion for ourselves to be in a shadow or a low vibration, or say we don't give her F. We don't always have to seem like we have it all together. And one of the things that I practice in my self-care routine is rage baiting. Like, I go into nature in the trails in our neighborhood, and I just scream, and I say the nastiest thing, and I yell, and I break a stick, and I'm like, because when we're in public or we're around people, we can't do that. People judge us because of it. And I think that integration and self-accountability is just so important when it comes to healing and setting our boundaries for ourselves and other people. So I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. And to your point about, I want to mention something. This is a prime example of generational development, right?
Yeah.
Because how many people have heard your mama say, the kitchen is closed?
Oh,
or
girl.
no cooking on Friday.
Oh,
that
girl.
was her attempt of setting a boundary. That was her attempt of doing that, but we didn't register in that capacity, and maybe she didn't know she was doing it. So the fact that y'all are being intentional about setting those boundaries and about voicing why and communicating to them, it just shows how, as time goes on and generations pass, the evolution of boundaries and the evolution of emotional intelligence, how that looks in a Black community. Because all we knew was that the kitchen was closed. We didn't know mama was tired. We didn't know she was overstimulated. We didn't know that she just needed some me time. We just knew, like, she don't want to cook on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
I'm hungry.
Established boundaries in a similar way. Like, she did not cook Friday and Saturday. She did not. So what we did after she got me from school on Friday was we went to Wan Fu, Outback, or Olive Garden, because we were out by Carolina Place. That's where we were living out by Carolina Place Mall at the time. We would get enough food for Friday and Saturday. I had cereal or whatever for Saturday morning cartoons. And mama wasn't doing nothing. Mama wasn't cooking.
And you better not ask.
Look.
I don't even think I
Don't you even talk.
Lady. I would literally go, and if I wanted time with my mom, I would literally sleep under her bed, because I didn't know it at the time, and she didn't explain it as being overstimulated. She didn't have that verbiage at the time. And so all I knew was, okay, well, my mama doesn't want me in bed with her, so I'm gonna lay under her bed. Because I still want to be close to her, but she don't want, okay, cool, whatever, I'll do my own thing. Like, I would literally, I love sleeping on the floor anyway, so I literally have a blanket and a pillow. And we figured it out. She almost stepped on me a few times. And we figured it out, and we watch, that's how we would watch Xena and Hercules, and that was our time together, but it was definitely, we're not talking during this. You're here while mommy's having her time, only because you are being quiet and out the way. Otherwise, go.
No, I needed mine quiet. I need mine out the way. So.
I had that.
But she only had me.
You
got 4.
Quiet time. And it was just like, because my kids used to like hit me when his dad would always be there, because he worked third shift, he worked opposite shifts. And as soon as like I'm stepping out the car, they would be trying to meet me at the door. So I started being like, I need 15 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. Don't say nothing to me. Don't ask me no questions. Don't come out to the car if I'm sitting out there.
That was my mama too.
But it was a struggle with some of my boys, especially my boys. But I think they started to get it because then I showed up in the response. So like when they gave me my space in that time, then it wasn't like, what now? You know what I mean? It was like, okay, what? And then what else happened? You know, it became fun for them. Right. So I think that was one. But I did have a question. I am struggling with allowing my 22-year-old, who also has a child, bump her head in all. She thrives in chaos. She likes chaos. She doesn't thrive in chaos. But when she doesn't have it, she is upset about it. And I'm trying to keep my mouth shut to let her learn, and it's driving me crazy.
I was her. I was her at 22. My parents had to let me bump my head. I went through some shit I shouldn't have had to go through, but I did it. They tried, they did everything they could, but I was grown. And I had my child, and that made it harder for them to not say anything. But she'll thank you later.
So it's for me, I'm not worried about taking my hands off of it because I'm really there. That was part of the move here. So I wasn't readily accessible. It's listening to it. It's trying.
Oh, that's because you don't have a boundary.
Oh.
You need to set the boundary. If this is what you want to do, that's fine. I'm not here for it though. I don't want to have this conversation. And you can even explore your vulnerability and say, as your mom, it's hard for me to hear this, so I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to hear about this. I would challenge you to consider that she may not like chaos. She may be comfortable in the chaos. And when things are not chaotic, as she just doesn't realize that that's as comfortable. But chaos is familiar. I can navigate chaos. I can't navigate peace and quiet. So I'm gonna stay here where I can predict this. I can maybe even control this, and that looks like I'm thriving, but she's not.
Well, I know that.
But she has to realize it. She has to recognize.
I can't make her change as hard as and she's tried to. We can't make her do nothing. But listening to it, some days it's just like, girl, no. And now that they know we're together, so if I don't answer, they call her, or they'll call Kendra. You know, so I'm like, and then so now we're all like checking each other. Who answered? What I'm supposed to say? Where you at? Like,
I wanted to kind of echo what you just stated. That's like a domestic violence victim, right? Oftentimes it's like, why would you stay this? This don't feel good. Like, you have to know that this is diabolical. But in reality, this is like all they know, or this is what they have grown to think is normal. And when they do get into something that's healthy, even years down the line, it's like, this is abnormal. Let me create a problem because I would rather something familiar, like you're not yelling at me when we're communicating. You don't love me. So now they have to unlearn behaviors. But the hardest part for you is over because you've implemented the let them theory. You're letting her, so that's the hardest part. Maternally, I can only imagine because I'm a dog mom, so I don't know anything about that. But yes. But you've implemented the let them theory. Now it's about what I said earlier. I don't have the capacity to hear this. I don't have the capacity to hear this. I don't have the capacity to add. I don't have no advice for you. And that's hard because to them, that could feel like rejection. But in reality, that's you prioritizing yourself and not constantly ripping the Band-Aid off of your wound as a mother. Like, because every time you take that on, that's a hit, that's a gut punch. Well, now you start having different thoughts like, did I raise her right? Why would she do this and that third? And that right there, that's you picking up stuff from her and her decisions and making it personal when it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
The best thing you really could do, that's great. The best thing you really could do is to hold her accountable.
I've been trying.
Yeah.
But she is really upset.
That's not your problem.
And
But
that's not your problem.
Holding her accountable is not having the conversation.
Right.
My mama and my auntie, when I would call them with messiness, they were just like, can we talk about something else? I'm not interested in this.
Right.
Because it got to the point of, it's very similar to when we're kids and our moms are like, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, if you're going to go ahead and do that, don't come to me. I'm not taking you to the doctor. We're not going to the hospital. You chose to do that. So you're going to have to get your own Band-Aid, figure that out.
Those are the consequences of your actions.
And you have to let her feel them. And you can't, and that's what my parents were doing for so long, and I appreciate them for doing it.
Now.
Because I know why they love me.
Now you appreciate it.
This week I was like, I thank God I'm alive to tell y'all you were right. Because Lord Jesus, I should not be here. So many things. But that had to kill them inside every time. And to tell me that they couldn't give me advice. They wouldn't give me advice. They wouldn't help me. That had to be so hard. But I'm so grateful that they did it.
And I think considering redefining, like, what is motherhood? Because I think motherhood is kind of projected on us. I think people think that motherhood is a one-size-fits-all. I have 2 children, and I'm at my max. I already knew I wouldn't have more children. My soft life is having just 2 children and understanding that I do get overstimulated by people in my work. So why would I commit to more children that I can actually be there for emotionally? Another thing is sometimes our toxic trait as mothers is thinking that we can heal our children instead of just holding space for them. We are here to hold space for our children. We're not here to mold them, give them an identity, have them behave in a certain way, project our spiritual or religious beliefs onto them. They are here, they're having a custom experience for themselves. So when we don't take responsibility for their experience, we get to live in our peace as well. And another just last thing I would add is that, with motherhood, these, narratives, like I don't cook. I have never cooked for my children. My husband cooked for our family. So if we're trying to live up to something, just because other women do that and it works for their household, then we're kind of missing out on our own personal soft life or what we're supposed to experience. Just because we have children does not mean we are obligated to give them an outcome, especially if we are not modeling the outcome that we want for our children. One of the things my mom used to say to me is, do what I say, don't do what I do. But that don't work. That don't work.
It doesn't work at all.
You can't tell your children, do what I say, don't do what I do. So I think just modeling whatever behaviors you want her to have in your own life, she would get it.
No, she's not a model of her child. She done that. So I have 5 children, and one thing I will say is that they're all very, 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 very different. They have some commonalities, but they're very different. Sydney would say I was way harder on the girls than I was on the boys. Sydney went through that phase too. Like my friends I had to I'm about to come get her. I'm about to go to her. Come get her. Come get her. And Mackenzie was not. Mackenzie just hit me. But I thought the baby was gonna save, stab her back. And she just not. And it's just like, girl, like I don't care. Like I don't care. Because you knew this was gonna happen. Like, girl, I don't care. And I'm like trying not to be that mom.
I think again, also in motherhood is we think like she said, like you said, that we take on what society says motherhood is for us. And I think society pushes on us that mothers is unconditional love. But there's a point with your children where love becomes conditional for your children. And yes, I will always be your mother. My door might or might not always be open to you, and that's okay for me if that's what I want. But that's where the condition comes. That's where you draw the line. That's where you establish the boundaries. And so...
And it's important, like we talked about earlier, not to lead with titles. A mother is a title, right? Just like every superhero, that's your cape. Like, you know how Superman, underneath that, he's just a man. And underneath the title of mother, you are just a woman. So it's only so much you can take over and over and over and over and over. And I think, like, when you constantly remind yourself to separate yourself from the title of mother, friend, sister, whoever, and just identify yourself as Sierra or a woman, you really kind of like realize, oh man, Sierra, I can't take this. I don't want to talk about this, not because I don't care, but because I just can't handle it. It don't do nothing for me. Because as a mother, as her mother specifically, I think we confuse lack of care with just being overstimulated, just being over it. Because it would never be a day that you never not care for your child. Whether the boundary is don't talk to them or whatever the case may be, no matter what it is, you're going to always care for her. But it comes a time where you have to care for you more. You can't care for her at the detriment of yourself or at the depletion of yourself. And I think that's kind of where you're at with it right now. You can't deplete yourself loving for or caring for someone else, because a lot of people, and I'm going to end with this because I think we're running out of time. A lot of people say, I can't pour from an empty cup. You were never supposed to pour from the cup to begin with. You were always supposed to give out your overflow. So a lot of people are giving things that was never meant to be given out. I don't want you to have nothing in my cup because it's for me. But you can have what's pouring out because that's for you. That's what I have to give. What's in the cup is mine.
Yeah.
Okay? And I want all of you guys to walk out with that, because a lot of times people be like, I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't pour from a cup that got holes in it, meaning the trauma that you encounter. You're not supposed to pour from the cup at all. Once it gets full, keep it that way. And when you start building and healing and adding, give them that. The little, even if it's a sprinkle, you only can give what you have to spare. And what's in the cup is not spare change.
Very good.
Let me tell you, I remember I sat down at dinner with Sierra.
Oh, Lord.
And we were just talking. And everything that she says, every single thing that she says, how she showed up in the room today is exactly how she is. Like, exactly. Both of them. That's exactly how they are. And when I was talking about my stuff, child, when I was talking about my stuff, Sierra was just like, she was there. She absolutely, but the thing is that she was there for me, and she really put it into perspective for me, and really made me say, like, okay, maybe, you know, I need to take accountability on this, or maybe this needs to happen, or maybe I need to look at it differently. So I always say, like, girl, when she was talking about overflowing of the cup, I'm not pouring in nobody's cup anymore. I refuse. So let me tell you what. Yeah, I don't know. I ain't got nothing. But I just wanted to say exactly what she said. She meant that. She meant that.
And you could tell, I forgot your name, what? It was a great example of last night. We were having an outing. I literally am in my own world. They will tell you. I am literally hilarious. In my own world. So I feel like that is, and if you want to show the proof to the people, you can later on. But that's another means of protecting yourself and not pouring from an empty cup. She had a whole crisis going on directly behind me. I had
not just behind her, like
I could have been. I was touching her.
I had no idea. I had no.
On fire, she's chilling.
I had no idea. I'm in my own world, and I'm only available once you tap me in. Now, once they brought it to my attention, I'm like, oh, I have the capacity to help. Let me jump in. Yeah. But until it was brought to my attention, babe, the sky could be burning, and if it's not, Sierra, we need your assistance. You see it? Oh, Lord.
They're on the video.
Yeah.
So my hair got stuck in a fan last night while we were at the lounge.
So I say all this to say, like, authenticity, it really does, like, you should really embody that day to day. Like how she said, that was the biggest compliment you could have given me, is that I show up the same way all the time. Because you never know when somebody is, like, looking too. Like, you know, I don't want anybody to be like, she was outside and she was acting stank, and now she coming up in here and she trying to preach to us. Like, what? No, first of all, I'm not a preacher, okay? But second of all, I want my reputation to be authentic. Like, I'm not trying to be polished, I'm not trying to be perfect, but consistency is the name of the game. That comes from how you show up. That comes from your goals. Achieving your goals is not about perfection. It's about the person who's consistent. Healing comes from consistency as well. Healing is not a straight and linear process by any means. It's about the one who's consistently pouring into themselves.
Absolutely.
Y'all got questions?
Something about what Sierra said is just, I think one of the things that helped me a lot was realizing that my trust issues weren't with anyone else, they were with myself. I lost the ability to trust my decision making. And so in not trusting myself, I was allowing a lot of bullshit that I shouldn't have been allowing. And then saying, well, realistically, when you've made the decisions, it hasn't been all bad. Go back to making the decisions. But it shows up, and a lot of times we talk about these trust issues in relationships, but when we're getting into friendships, when we're doing business with people, when we are just interacting with folks, that authenticity and always showing up the same way is how you fix those trust issues. It's how people learn to say, like, I can count on her. I can count on this person. Most people aren't going to believe it right away. People have told me my whole life they didn't believe I was a real person at first. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And they're like, we didn't believe that someone was genuinely just that happy and just that giving and just that person.
I've gotten that.
They were like, we were waiting for the mask to fall. And that's just not you. Even when you're mean about something or mad about something, you're still coming at it a certain way. And that's what we have to remember when in our interactions with people and when we're meeting people, is that they have their own trust issues, they have their own shit they're working through. We just have to continue to show up, sometimes regardless of how those issues manifest themselves. Again, it's about discernment, but if you've worked on those trust issues with yourself, then your discernment's there. So you'll know who to show up for consistently, how that should look and what to do, but we have to start working on those trust issues with ourselves and trusting ourselves to show up.
Okay. Yes. Any other questions before we let them go? Okay.
I feel like we talked a lot about authenticity.
We
did. The biggest part of it is being comfortable being disliked, because people will dislike you. And it's not that's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. And so when I say, like, that's your problem, I'm not being insensitive, and I'm you know, but that's your problem. That's not my problem, and I'm not taking it on. So especially not for free. I'm a therapist. So
she said, pay me.
So that's the biggest, I think that's the biggest well, it's not the biggest concept of authenticity, but it's something you do have to become comfortable with.
That's good.
Y'all know I don't care.
So. Any other questions? Are we good? Have we answered all your questions today? Good. Well, thank you, Sierra. Thank you, Sharia. I appreciate you guys so much for coming out. Oh, girl. Of course. Like, I was like, this has to be a session where people can just be their ultimate vulnerable. That's that part of that tranquility. And having you guys here is really what brings that forward. It makes people, okay, let me ask this question that's been a burning question in my head, and I don't know who to ask. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for speaking on this panel. And, you know, we're going to talk. We're going to do something else soon. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause, please.